I'm living in this small apartment, working at an ice cream store, and I'm all punk rock, and I'm barely 20, and I just see the rest of my life. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna be standing somewhere with an apron and a company t-shirt on doing something like this for the rest of my life. And I wasn't happy about that because something in me said, there's other things I can do. I don't know what they are, but there's something more for me than just this, because I'm angry, and I'm very hyper, and I'm really intense. And maybe there's something for me. And the idea of punk rock, that almost anything was possible. Because I'm older than most of you, I'm older than this building. But when I was growing up with my best friend Ian Mackay from the band Fugazi, you guys know Ian. Ian and I would go, yeah. And one day maybe we can drag him here, because you will absolutely love that guy. He's an amazing human being. Anyway, Ian and I would go see arena rock, because that's what a young person could go see. And we would drive way out to the suburbs and go into a building where they usually have basketball games and hockey games to see Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Ted Nugent, REO Speedwagon. And it was all pretty cool, and you'd see bands from, you know, like a mile away, and everyone was that high. Like Steve Tyler's a little guy. It could have been some tall person with a wig running around. We would not have known the difference. And then we discovered punk rock, and our experience went from going to the Megadome to places this size, where you could walk right up front, put your elbows on the stage, and Lux Interior of the Cramps would ask you to help him take his pants off. And one night, like 150 years ago, he was right there, stage right, stage left to you, and Ian and I right up front, of course, obedient Cramps fans. And he is down to just his shirt and his black jeans and his socks. And he kind of sticks his feet out to Ian and I, like, would you please help me? And we're like, okay, we're taking the pants off a man. I never thought my life was leading to that, but he is in the Cramps, so what the hell? And so we pull his pants off, and Lux Interior is now down just to a pair of bright white underwear with the decal of a monster right over the naughty bits, and over the monster says, creepy. And of course, Ian and I are very well-raised young men. We take the pants, fold them neatly, and put them on stage between us. And then Lux Interior, who's mostly naked now, he's like the very, very tall, very, very pale, no body hair, kind of jumps on top of us and starts going, and all of a sudden his testicles are on my head, which was very intense. I mean, I like the records, but I don't need that much of him. So you're like, nude man! And so after the show, being good young men that we are, we go to the Cramps dressing room with the pants. They're not ours, and they wouldn't fit anyway, because we're short. And so, and Nick Knox, the famous drummer of the Cramps, the man with the great hair, he opens the door, and he's like, excuse me, Mr. Knox, we have Mr. Interior's pants. And he looked at us and went, hold on a second. Lux, the boys have had your pants cleaned and pressed. And that was our first brush with stardom. But the idea that you could walk right up close to see punk rock, that it made rock and roll possible to me. And so I'm working at an ice cream store, and I see a band play called Black Flag. And I said, that is the best damn band I have ever seen. I said, the guitar player is out of control. I've never heard anybody play like that. It's all wrong, and it's perfect. And the lyrics are smart, and they're angry. At least I'm angry. I wasn't smart, but I was angry, so I could dig it. And I met them, and they're really cool guys. And the only thing I thought was, I want to be in this band. But how's that going to be? They have a singer, and I'm just some guy with an ice cream scoop, scooping ice cream like 60 hours a week with nothing to show for it except bad-smelling laundry. And so they come to Washington, D.C. to play. Ian and I hang out with them. And the bass player starts calling me. He gets my phone number. And the band is back in California. My phone rings. I'm a young person. I don't know anybody. And when my phone rang, I'm like, whoa, someone knows me? Like, this is Henry. Hey, it's Chuck from Black Flag. Oh, the Black Flag guy's on the phone! He said, so what are you doing these days? I'm just working at the ice cream store and, living the Bruce Springsteen lyric life of a guy who's probably going to get some girl pregnant and, move to the suburbs and hate my life and live in a cubicle and have a car I can't pay for, just being kind of useless and young and with no direction whatsoever, but pissed off at the same time. Don't forget that. And so he would keep in touch with me, and I had no idea why. And so months later, the band comes back to the East Coast, but they're only going to play New York, which is about 5 hours from Washington, D.C., where I come from. And so I said, I'm going to take the day off work and drive my car to New York City and see my pals, Black Flag, and be jealous of the singer, Des Cadena, because I want his damn job. And so I got permission to be off work. I drove my 1968 VW Fastback all the way to New York City. I parked, I went into sound check. They knew me. I'm like, hey, I'm here. Can I be on the guest list? Why, sure. And so I watched them play. It was great and heartbreaking. So I'm like, I'm not in that band. And then I'm hanging out with them after the show. And they said, hey, we're going to play a bar down the street, second show, some extra money. We're going to meet some women. You want to come with us? I'm like, extra show? Sure. And so I follow them. You know, like it's like a 10-minute drive from the Irving Plaza to 2nd Avenue, 2nd Street and A's. 2A, I think, is the name of the place. And it's a bar. And I help them load in. As I'm loading in, I watch a man get stabbed. I'm like, I'm carrying an amp, and you just stabbed a guy! And welcome to New York. And so we load in the gear, and people who are smart enough to go from Irving Plaza to this bar are going to see a free Black Flag show. And so the band sets up and starts playing. I look at my watch. I'm like, oh no, I have to drive 5 hours back to Washington, go into the work sink at the job, and hose myself off because I have no time for a shower. I'll steal a fresh t-shirt from my boss. I'll pay him back later, I'm an honest guy. And do a 9-hour shift on no sleep. But I'm young and I'm angry and I can do it, but I gotta go. And so I looked at, oh no, thanks. And so I look at my watch going, man, I gotta leave soon. The sun will be coming up and I still have 5 hours of driving and 8 or 9 hours of work. And so between songs, I walked up to the front of the stage and I said to the singer, Des, I go, hey Des, can you guys play Clocked In, which is a song Black Flag had about how much it sucks to go to work. And it was the best riff I ever heard. It's like Jimi Hendrix on Angel Dust. It's amazing. And so I said, can you play Clocked In for me? Because I gotta go to work. And Des says, this song's called Clocked In. It's for Henry because he's gotta go to work. And I look at Des and he looks at me and he goes like, and you're singing it. He gave me the microphone. I'm like, and I jumped up on stage, and everyone in the audience like, who's this 150-pound angry man? And the rest of the band like, oh, cool, Henry's gonna sing, no problem. And I knew the lyrics, a song that hadn't been out really yet, except for a compilation record. And I had my idea of how to sing it. For me, Black Flag songs needed to be sung so hard that the singer is injured and the crowd is devastated. I thought that this band must ruin lives of people. Like everyone walked out, greatest show I ever saw, ow, ow, I won't be able to have children. I mean, something should change in your life after seeing this band. And so the song is about 90 seconds long, and I sang it the way I thought it should be sung. Just basically lungs coming out of my throat, you know, internal organs flying out of me. And I'll never forget looking from side to side, and the rest of the band is like playing and looking at me like, damn, we're awake now. And the audience, all 50 of them, were like, what is happening? Whoa! And the song comes to an end, and I gave the mic back to Des. Here you go, see you. And I walked out marveling that I had been in Black Flag for a minute and a half. I'm like, I'm gonna talk about this for the rest of my life. And so I get back down to the job, I complete the day of work, and the next day I'm back at the job, and the phone rings, and this is Haagen-Dazs, and it's Greg Ginn of Black Flag. He's like, hey, we're in New York, and we're holding auditions for singer. You wanna come up here and audition? I go, what's the matter with Des? Well, he doesn't want to sing anymore. He wants to play rhythm guitar. And we liked what you did the other night. You want to give it a shot? And I'm looking at my apron, chocolate ice cream, a scoop, or a chance to be in my favorite band. It's an obvious choice. You go for the audition. So I had to call up my boss yet again. I'm going to take another day off. Is that okay? How the hell can you take a day off from a job that's so simple you can teach anyone to do it in 7 minutes? Because I really need the day off? Well, okay. And so I took the train up to New York City at like 4 in the morning. I get there at like 7 a.m. I stagger into a diner where the band are meeting me, and I said, so what's gonna happen today? I'm still like in disbelief. They said, we've rented a rehearsal place. You're going to go in and sing 2 sets of the songs. I go, but most of the songs aren't released and I don't know the lyrics. They said, do the best you can. Are you ready? I said, no. They said, here we go. And so they load in and the road crew sets up the gear, and all of a sudden I'm standing with a microphone in my hand looking at the lineup of Black Flag, and now Dez is on second guitar, and I literally pinched myself. I said, this is not happening. And Greg said, oh, what song do you want to play? And I said, how about Police Story? And we go into that first song, and I nearly fainted because I didn't believe this was happening. So we go through both sets, and I don't know the lyrics. So I'm just like, wow, ah, baby, you know, whatever you got. And so we come to the end of that, and we're all covered in sweat, and I thought it sounded pretty cool. I had a good time. And they said, we're going to have a band meeting. Wait in the front of the rehearsal place. And I figured this is going to take hours. They're going to be burning candles on skulls. You know, they'll be like, well, bring out the sacred texts, and let's open the book to the Book of the Elders and see what they did in the Bronze Age when they had to make this great decision. They came to their conclusion in like 4 minutes. I figured I'll be there till the evening. I barely had time to go out to a delicatessen across the street and return with some orange juice. They said, okay, so you're in. I said, I'm in what? They said, Black Flag. I said, uh-huh, doing what? You're the singer. I said, uh-huh, singing for who? They said, Black Flag. I said, who? They said, you. I said, doing what? They said, singing. I was in disbelief. I said, is this happening? They said, this is happening. And so, after we did that, like for like a few minutes, they said, do you want this job or not? I said, yes. Doing what? They said, stop it! I said, so what do I do now? And the bass player gave me this massive folder of lyrics. He goes like, learn all this, go back home, quit your little job, say goodbye to all your little friends, pack a suitcase, here's the itinerary, meet us as soon as you can. We're going west. I said, so I get in the van, and then what happens? We're gonna finish the tour, Dez is gonna sing, you're gonna sing the encores, road crew, and practice in the afternoons. And then we're going to Los Angeles to do what? To record the first ever Black Flag album. I said, great, good luck with that. So who's singing on that? You. With who? With us. And so, numb with shock, I walked, to a taxi to the train station, holding this folder of lyrics in my hand, not knowing what to do with it. I get back to my job, and like, where have you been? I've been in New York, and Steve, the guy, my boss, who's my friend to this day, he got me my first apartment. He's a very good man. I said, Steve, something's coming up, or has come up. I'm quitting. I was the head manager of his shop. He trusted me with his money. I never stole from him, of course, but I was a good worker. He said, you're quitting? I said, I like my job. I'll give you $4 an hour instead of the $3.75 he was giving me. I said, no, it's not the money. The money's fine. Here's what happened. And I told him, I said, Steve, for me, this is a shot. And he said, it is, and it's not going to work. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to come back in a few weeks with your tail between your legs, and if you call me sir, I might give you your job back. And I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't quit. Oh no. I said, okay, well, I'm out of here, and good luck. He went, you're the one who's going to need it. And so I went back to my apartment fairly terrified, and I own nothing. I have this many records, a bed that I've had since Martin Luther King was alive, and like a car that doesn't work. And I call Ian, I go, here's what happened. You want a car? He went, no. I go, you want a bed? He said, no. I said, will you take care of my records and take me to the bus station? He went, yeah. And so he took me to the bus station, and he's the only person I've ever asked in my life for advice. And I said, what do you think? He said, are you kidding? You're gonna be great. There's your bus. Write me a postcard. And I got on this bus to Detroit, which is an all-night drive, and I couldn't sleep because I'm meeting a band. I've got a duffel bag and $120. I emptied my bank account. And so I get to Detroit, I take a taxi to a club, I think it was called Clutch Cargo, and I beat the band there because they're in a van. And I get in there, and there's just a woman behind a bar. And I walk in with my duffel bag, and I'm a very polite person. I said, "Good afternoon, ma'am." She said, "May I help you?" And I said, "Yes, I'm the singer of Black Flag." And she went, "Oh, it's great to meet you. Would you like a Coke?" And I went, "Yes, please." And I got one of those awful Coca-Colas you get that's mostly syrup with a little bit of bubble, and it tastes awful. And I sat at this bar in this really tough neighborhood in Detroit with my syrupy Coke, and I went, the good life. I am a rock star. They give you a free Coke. What I didn't know was what the rest of my life was going to be like. And that is the short version of how 35 years later, at age 55, I stagger here in front of you, gray of hair and long, deep lines in my face, all containing wisdom. And so here's what happened the other day. Thank you. My roadrunners and I were in England for about a week, and we had a tour bus, which I call a Def Leppard Express, a Bon Jovi mobile. It's a long bus with bunks and a toilet, and it's fine to live in. There's couches, a TV, which we never use, and non-existent internet access if you're willing to pay like $8 a second. And so we live on these things for weeks at a time. And the other day we were in Newcastle, England, which is in the north, and people are very, you know, that camera is it's extraordinarily annoying. And maybe you should just watch the show and enjoy me, have a little opium pinch, put it in, and I start to become a psychedelic, relaxing experience. Thank you. Anyway. Oh yes. Yeah, I talked to the photographer. Anyway. So I stagger out of the bunk area, and I'm sitting in the front lounge, and I open up my laptop and turn it on, overjoyed to see that I can steal free internet from the hotel across the street that we're not staying at, we're just parked in front of it. I go, "Free internet for me, I'm a thief. Bite me, I'm taking it." And so I went to a news website that I go to see what's going on, especially in my America, because we have wacky people running for president. Almost all of them are insane, especially the one with the bright teeth and the spray-on tan with the mysterious hair. And he says things that are so moronic, you never said those in your own language, in your dumbest 9-year-old meltdown. And this man, Donald Trump, has millions of people who think he's the best thing that ever happened to America. He's going to get rid of that Kenyan trickster, commie, socialist Barack Hussein Obama, and when Mr. Trump gets in there with that hair machine on his head, everything's going to be good. He's going to run America like a business. Yes, he will, and he's going to screw you so hard, you'll be spitting blood in a year. But anyway, I was going online to see what dumbass, bigoted, racist, misogynist thing had tumbled out of his mouth that day. And the headline of the news website said, "Golden Years." And that's when I knew that David Bowie had died. And I'm glad I was sitting, because if I was standing, I just would have fallen on the ground. I was literally clumsy from shock and grief. And I have no idea, you and I have never met. And so I don't know what David Bowie's music means to you. But for me, his music is in my bone marrow. It's in my DNA. As a young person, lyrically, besides Bob Dylan, he's one of the only people that made sense to me, who understood what being a weird outside person was like, about being nervous and unable to fit in, an alien, being someone who fell to earth. That was David Bowie, and that was definitely me. And his records they mean a lot to me. And everyone dies. You're gonna die, I'm gonna die, we know that. But some people are so iconic, you just can't believe it when they do die. For example, what about Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones? Can you really see him dying? Or can you really see him miraculously living another 120 years? Like he's some kind of rock and roll vampire. Like if there's a God or a higher power, like, I'm about to kill, now it's Keith, I can't do it. I can't do it, I love his music so much. Let's give him another 100 years and just freak people out. I thought the same thing about Bowie. The Bo, as I affectionately call him. The Bo can't die. Well, everyone dies. And I was like, I was very sad. I'm like, damn, man, I love this guy's music. And that's when my road manager, Ward staggered out of the bunk area. I said, "Good morning, sir. David Bowie has passed away." And he's like, "Gee, thanks. You don't even give a guy any warning." And so we just sat there like, wow, that has happened. We've turned a corner in world history. And he said, "Hey, I've got his last album, Black Star, on my computer. You want to hear it?" And I went, "No, put it on." Because I didn't want to hear David Bowie singing to me as a dead person. I didn't want to face it. And I can't tell you what to do, because you're big, strong, sexy adults. But if you get a chance, I hope you listen to David Bowie's last record. It is amazing. It's musically challenging. Lyrically, he talks about, hey, I'm dying, and sometimes, hey, I'm dead. It's really heavy. I played that record, and to have made so many good records and to leave all of us with maybe one of his best records is how talented this guy is. And the last song on the record is called "I Can't Give Everything Away." And as the last vocal trails out, I almost started crying, because like when the last lyric fades away, you're like, it's over. He really is dead. Somehow in my mind, I had it, when the record's over, he's truly dead. And the record came to an end. I'm like, don't go! I wanted to jump into the speakers and grab him, and like grab him and drag him back to existence. Like, don't leave me here on planet Earth, man. It's so much better with you here, because you're a weirdo like me, hey, with a lot of talent, and you make music that makes sense to me. Don't go. Well, everyone goes. I played that record 3 times that day, and it made me remember one of the best days of my life. And you have good ones and bad ones. That's the human experience. And one of the best days I ever had in my life was 1997 in the summer. And my bandmates and I were touring. It was right before we came here to play in Moscow on the 1997 tour. We were doing summer festivals. And usually on a summer festival, there's like 80 bands with a huge one headlining at night, like Metallica, or something huge that people will walk over hot coals to see. We're not one of those bands. So we go on first or second band of the entire festival. We play in front of crows looking for worms, 3 passed out people in their own vomit who fainted after seeing Verve headline the night before, and angry security people who are pissed off that they have to sit through our music. And we're done by like 10 a.m. No one sees us. We like go in and out of festivals like a covert operation. Did you guys play? Yes. Did anyone see you? No. Mission accomplished. The band that does not exist. Sweating buckets on stage for no one. It was almost existential. We are playing in front of a misty, muddy field, and there's nothing but morning dew on the grass, and we're out there, to no one. It was kind of beautiful in a way. And like, thank you, and no one says anything because there is no one there. And so after that's over, you have like 14 hours to mill around, because now all the big bands have shown up, and they have all these tour buses because they have 80 people in their crew, because they have dancing bears and women swinging from strings in their act, rear screen projection, a cannon, people will be slaughtered, virgins will be fed into a mechanical volcano. It's a big damn deal. And so we can't leave because we're surrounded by buses. And so we have another 12 hours to walk around, drink too much coffee, and be bored to death. The only consolation of this day is David Bowie is headlining like 12 hours from now. And so I'm walking around this backstage area, which is like farmland. It's beautiful Belgium, this rolling, looks like New Jersey, rolling fields and trees. Very nice and nothing to do. So I'm standing around going, what do I do for the rest of the day? David Bowie walks by me. No one's with him, and no one's near either of us. I'm like, whoa! It's the Bo! And I'm not the kind of guy who runs up to you with my hand and going, hey, I'm Henry Rollins, it's a big deal that you're meeting me. I don't think that way. I don't think anyone wants to meet me, and I am happy leaving people alone. And so I look at him like he's a rare bird. Like, it's a bald eagle. Shh, look, he's right there. Don't you say anything, he'll fly away. Wow, they're bigger than I thought they'd be. Like, he's really, you can see the plumage is amazing. That's how I was looking at the Bo. I'm like, there he goes. There goes the Bo. Look how he's dressed. Look at that. Look at the walk of the Bo. Everything he does is great. Look at that guy. Love that guy. The Bo stops The beau looks to his left. He sees me. He says, "Ah, Rollins." I go running at him with my hand out. "Ah, David." And I shake his hand. And he said, "Have you had lunch?" And I said, "No." He said, "Let's go have lunch." So I checked my schedule. You know, I can squeeze you in for 15 minutes. He said, and we're walking to this massive catering tent. And as we're walking, he said, "You know, you said something very interesting in a magazine last month." And he proceeded to quote like half a page of me back to me. I'm like, "You read an interview of mine?" "I read all of your interviews, Henry. You're a very interesting person." "Shut up!" I said, "Oh, okay," as I'm going numb. He goes, "Last year in Germany, in a different magazine, you said this." And he quotes me again, paragraph after paragraph. I'm like, okay. And I want a highway to run onto so I can get run over by a truck, because my work here on this planet is done. The beau has read 2 interviews of mine. This is as cool as I'm going to get. And so we walk into the catering tent, which is massive. It's like the size of this building, because it's holding rock and roll Viking road crew. Because all of these big bands have like 30 people in their crew to hang lights and trusses and animals and personnel. And the thing that makes rock and roll really work are the hardworking men and women who arrive at a venue at like 4 in the morning in the dark, and they go up into the ceiling and they build all this. And when they fall, they do break their back, and it's no joke. And these are men and women who hang from ropes like they're rappelling from a mountain, and they install all of this. It is dangerous, high-tech work. It was not leprechauns or spirits that hung these cabinets. It was people going like, "Don't screw this up because it's a long way down and it'll break your skull." And so when these men and women are hungry, you better feed them. And on this day, this tent is full of like these Viking men with braided beards and pierced eyebrows and forearms like bowling pins and large-breasted blonde horned helmet wearing Wagnerian sopranos are twisting entire cows over flaming pits to cook them and sawing off entire legs and heaving them onto metal plates in front of these men who stab them with forks and knives. And these men don't even speak. They just go, "Ooh, ooh." Because they are such alpha males, they don't need language. They just need utterances and pelvic thrusts. Ooh, 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 ooh. Which means we eat now, then we take 30 tons of metal and put it 60 feet in the air. Cool by you? Go! But I have to eat a goat before I do it. And so you see men cutting meat like with their own saber, drinking mead from horns, drinking ale from tankards, grog as they called it. And they're like, "Ooh, oh." And all the men stop when Bowie walks into the tent. But ooh, ooh. The beau, ooh. And like 150 men, you hear armor clanking and swords being put down on tables, and everyone's looking at the beau. And he's looking at everyone who's looking at him, like grease dripping out of their beards, tendons coming out of their mouth from some antelope they're just tearing into. And he said, "Good afternoon. Carry on." And everyone, ooh. Anyway, we got some food items, and we sat down to eat, and our conversation took in surrealism, literature, Iggy Pop, and all kinds of interesting stuff. And at one point, someone told my bandmates who I'm eating with, and they run into the catering tent pretending they like me. "Hey, Henry, who's your friend?" And I said, "David, would you meet my bandmates?" And he's a total gentleman. Good afternoon, I'm David." Like, hell, we don't know who you are. It's funny. I'm glad I was about to call you Sydney or something. And so at one point he wipes his mouth with great style and said, "Gentlemen, I must take my leave." We're like, and he walks out and we're going, "Ooh." And so I found his impossibly terrifying bodyguard road manager, a man named Big Charlie, who I called Mr. Big Charlie. I said, "Mr. Big Charlie, when the beau goes on stage, can my bandmates and I watch?" And he said, not only can you watch, but you can watch in style. Because on stage right, we have a monitor system that has the full stereo front of house mix just for invitees only. And today, you are the invitees. So how do we do that? You run up the stairs when you see Mr. Bowie go onto the stage. And you show your laminate. And if anyone gives you trouble, you say, Big Charlie said we could be here. And so the Bowie hits stage, the 20,000 people go, wah! And we go running up the stairs with our laminate. Big Charlie said we could be here. Big Charlie said we could be here. And so they went, okay. And we watched David Bowie from the side of the stage as he sang effortlessly. He doesn't even try to sing. He opens his mouth and this voice comes out. You're like, that's just like the record. He was amazing. I've never seen one person have 20,000 people just waiting for him to say something else. They're like, David, breathe so we can breathe. He had him. And the band's amazing. And we went back to our Bon Jovi mobile that night going, we hung out with David Bowie for like 8 minutes. That was the best. And he was such a nice guy. And it doesn't matter that you meet people you like. I'm happy just buying the records. But it was so cool to find out that David Bowie checks things out, that he even checks me out. Interesting. So here's something else. Oh, I can't tell you what to do, like I said. But if you get a chance, if you've never listened to a lot of David Bowie records, you should find your friend who has all those records, and you should listen to those songs. I think you might become a very big David Bowie fan if you're not already. He is about as good as it gets, in my opinion. Anyway, here's something else that happened. In 1961, I was born. And it was immediately apparent that I was what the doctors called a spastique. And I was nuts. You couldn't take me anywhere without me finding something, breaking something, crying, and hyperventilating for a year and a half. If you took me to the birthday party, I would wound the birthday boy. I would just walk up and slug him because I wanted his presence. And then I'd be like, and my mom would get a call, would you please take your screaming monkey child off my chandelier into your car and get him out of here before he wounds another child? And in the 1970s, my mother discovered a drug called Ritalin. And if you have a hyperactive child, you give the kid Ritalin and everything's gonna be okay. And my mom said, swallow this, swallow it again, have another, have a bag of them. And Ritalin basically speeds you up so fast, you can't even talk because you're too busy going. Remember the last few minutes of 2001, A Space Odyssey, when Dave is going through the space-time continuum, and he's seeing himself old man, young man, baby, and strobe lights are going by his helmet? That's how I was in high school, high on Ritalin. I didn't eat for 3 years. I would just hold onto my desk for the wild ride through geometry. Are you paying attention? My brain is eating the information. And I would go to the library at lunchtime because I was speeding and I had no appetite whatsoever. I memorized the Latin name of every single snake in America. Henry, what is XY plus 5Y determined like Lampropeltis gutulalis, the eastern chain king snake. Useless information, I've got a lot of it. I'm on Ritalin. And the only thing that cooled me out was music. My mom would go in your room for the next 4 days and play the one Beatles record you have. No problem. I would sit there and listen to one record for 7 hours. I'm like, thank you, music. And so I would listen to the radio and I would listen to records. And so music became my drug. I medicated with music. And in high school, I'm an angry teenager. And the only thing I would look forward to is Friday, school is over, I can go home and listen to Led Zeppelin 2 over and over, and I'm 48 hours away from the hell that is high school. And all these people I hated, and lessons I hated, but all I needed was a record alone in my room. I was good. And then suddenly, I hit 17 and a half, almost 18 years of age, and none of my records worked anymore. They all sucked, because the lyrics were not angry. I never understood what Van Halen was singing about. Never understood a single thing David Lee Roth was saying to me. Steve Miller, I'm gonna fly like an eagle to the sea, kiss my ass, I'm pissed off. And so no one was angry on a record. Maybe sexualized, like Ted Nugent, Great White Buffalo, and I'm this and I'm that, and you're like, great, that does nothing for me. I don't want to know about a buffalo. I want someone to write a song and go, ah! And so someone said, oh, Henry, have you ever heard of a thing called punk rock? I said, I heard of it. They said, you know what? I think this is gonna work. Borrow these records. And a buddy of mine loaned me the first Ramones album, the first Clash album, and the Sex Pistols album. And in 1 week, all of a sudden, my life had a soundtrack. And I realized, I am punk rock. I am an angry person, and Joe Strummer is my alternate dad. And when I finally met Joe Strummer years later, I said, you raised me better than my own father. Went, yeah, it's great to hear, man. He was great. Anyway, I became very, very punk rock. And within a year, all I could listen to was punk rock. Hey, let's listen to this. Let's listen to the Velvet Underground. No, we can't. It's not punk rock. I'm very pure. I am real. Well, you don't like Jimi Hendrix anymore? I do. But he is the past. I listened to him back in my hippie days. 7 months ago. Shut up! I am punk rock. We are going forward on the bleeding edge of this new revolutionary music. That's all I need to know. And so one evening, I am at a punk rock house party with the entirety of the Washington, D.C. punk rock scene. At least 30 of us. And we are just 30 harmless weirdos who no one liked except us. We were the people who couldn't throw the ball straight. We were just the people who didn't fit in anywhere else, but we fit in with each other. We were very, very nice people. You would have liked us. We were just kind of clumsy and with good intentions. One evening, I'm standing in this living room being punk rock. I put something really harmful in my hair, like oven cleaner, just to see what it would do. My scalp is burning, maybe melting off. And someone walks to the turntable with a record. And I walk over as like the punk rock cop. Like, hold on. I will inspect this record for punk rock purity. I smash the record away. And I see these 3 hippies on the cover. Their hair is touching their shoulders. They have facial hair. I'm like, oh, no. You can't play this in this house. We are punk rock. It must be punk rock or it must go. And the guy said, oh, don't worry. This record's different. It's not what you think it's going to be. I go, they look like hippies to me. I'm not into kumbaya. I am into light it on fire. I want punk rock. He said, this will be just fine. Just relax. And he puts the record on, and within 2 songs, my friends and I are all staring at the stereo, going, oh no, 3 long-haired hippies with hair on their faces, with beards, have just kicked the ass off of every record we own. This single record takes Stiff Little Fingers, X-Ray Specs, The Clash, The Sex Pistols, The Ramones, Devo, The Buzzcocks, The Adverts, etc., and goes like, not today. And I walk back to the turntable like, oh no, I'm going to have to amend my punk rock manifesto and say I like punk rock and whoever these hippies are. And that is the first time I heard Motorhead. And so I'm staring at the Ace of Spades record going, the Ace of Spades, really? Am I going to buy an album called The Ace of Spades? I'm going backwards, back into the 70s. And so I go to the record store, I put the record on the counter. I'd like to buy this record, please. Wait a minute, you're the punk rock? Just put it in the bag, please. No, you're punk rock, and I can't listen to anything that's not punk rock. And you're buying a Motorhead record. Would you please not say that very loud? People are looking at me. And so I had to amend my punk rock constitution. So Henry, what do you listen to? I listen to punk rock. And Motorhead. I'm sorry, what did you say? Motorhead. So you have a Motorhead record? Yes, I have it. It's under my bed. I don't really want to talk about it. You have music by people with hair down to their shoulders. Just shut your mouth. Shut your fat mouth. And so I became a fan because the music is undeniable. And so I started reading interviews with Lemmy, who seemed like the most right-on, real musician I had ever read anything of. I said, damn, this guy's amazing. And you find out he's good friends with the best punk rock band ever, The Damned. I'm like, he's friends with The Damned? And then I bought a single. And on the back of the single is a picture of Lemmy. Lemmy plays bass on this song. I'm like, Lemmy's on a damn record! I love Lemmy! And it validated. Like, I can say, I'm into punk rock and Motorhead's punk rock for me. If you don't like it, You can urinate and make it go up a rope. And so I became a proud Motorhead supporter because Lemmy was friends with the Damned. That's all I needed. I always wanted to meet the guy. And so years and years go by, and I'm in New York City in a big building as part of the New Music Seminar. And I'm going to be on a panel with a bunch of musicians, and we're going to be taking questions from the audience. And I walk into this room, it's like 1988 or 89, and there's all the fellow panelists, and I don't know anybody. And so I just sit down at a table waiting for this thing to happen. Someone sits down, I look up, it's Lemmy. I'm like, oh, officer on deck. But I don't know what to say. I can't say, I have all of your records, including Hawkwind records, which are some of the best records I've ever heard. I have the Iron Fist album, I have all the singles. In fact, I have the Ace of Spades with the B-side, Dirty Love, because I have to have all the B-sides, because I'm kind of that guy. Anyway, can we talk about all the Portuguese picture sleeves of Motorhead, because they have a different texture of paper than the German and the British ones? I'm sorry, I am that guy. And sadly, I am that guy, and it gets worse as I get older. Anyway. I'm speechless, and I just kind of look at him, and he looks back at me, and kind of raises one eyebrow, and kind of snarls at me. He looks down at a blank sheet of paper that's between us on this table. He grabs it, pulls a pen out of his jacket, writes something, turns around and shoves it back at me. And I look down, and it says, "What am I doing here?" And all I can do is like, I don't know, but he does stick out in this group of new wave artists. At that moment, a full bottle of wine made its presence known. Lemmy took it. He opened it up, and he was able to drain the entire contents of the bottle down his neck in record time. It was astonishing. Like, wow, that was magic. And all of a sudden, it's time to go on stage. It's like 11 in the morning. And it's me and Diamanda Galas, the great avant vocalist, Leonard Cohen, the legendary poet, Hank Ballard, the great R&B writer, Jelly Bean Benitez, who's just remixed Madonna, and now he's bigger than IBM. And we're all sitting there, and someone asks a question of Diamanda Galas, who is an avant singer. Look her up, she's amazing. She can play every instrument known, speaks 5 languages. She is a mega brain. And she does not suffer fools gladly. Someone asks her a question. Her answer takes on the time-space continuum, string theory, and Ornette Coleman. It's like, and everyone in the audience is like, I don't understand. It's 90 miles above my intellectual pay grade. I feel like I've been hit with a stick, and no one said anything because no one understood what the hell she's talking about. Of course, they're all New Yorkers, so they're all going like, yeah, I agree with half of that. They're just so full of it. Anyway, there's silence except for one person in the whole building. Lemmy pulls his microphone up, looks at her, sneers, and says, "What a load of crap! I like rock and roll!" And the place goes nuts. And that's one thing everyone can understand. And everyone's like, yeah! And Diamanda Galas, who's intense, she looks like a cat that just got thrown into a bucket of water. She's like, and Lemmy just looks at her like, "So, you're mad? I'm Lemmy. I'm wine." Doesn't care. A few questions later, I get asked a question, and I answer. It takes about a day and a half. And everyone in the audience is like, wow, that was really boring. And no one said anything, except, of course, Lemmy. He pulls the microphone up. "What a load of bull!" And everyone's like, yeah! Like, I have never even spoken to this guy, and all he did was give me a love note and insult me. I kind of liked it. And so I started hanging out with Lemmy as the years would go on. I would see Lemmy at a festival, and he always remembered me. I go, "Hey Lemmy, remember years ago we met in New York and you said my answer was stupid?" "Yeah, it was. It's good to see you again, Henry." "You remember my name, and you're not even disrespecting me. You just thought my answer was stupid, but at least you're being honest, just like I knew you'd be." And as the years went on, he and I would see each other and have conversations. And Lemmy is curious. He wants to know what you're doing. He is well-read. He's A to Z on history. He's a funny guy, and he always is trying to get you to laugh. And like, really? The Lem has a sense of humor? And one night we're playing somewhere in Scandinavia, and we're playing our asses off in front of 8 people. And Lemmy's watching us, and he's kind of checking us out. So we're like, Lemmy's looking at us. And afterwards he walks up, not bad for a beginner. I'm like, I'll take it. And so right around that time, probably in the same wave of festival dates, my bandmates and I are on a small tarmac in a microscopic airport somewhere in Scandinavia. I think we were in Finland, waiting to fly to Sweden to perform a festival in a crevice in a fjord. It's gonna be like 4 farmers and a lumberjack and a dog will be watching us. But it's a gig and we'll take it. And we're sitting in an airplane so small, it's like a canoe with wings. You've been on these planes. They're very noisy, and when they fly into a cloud, you actually feel the contact. Wham! And the plane drops like 10 feet, and your intestines go into your socks. You're like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. It's a toy with a pilot. And we're sitting on this plane. It's a brutal hot day with no wind, and there's late passengers, so we can't leave. They can't turn on the air conditioning, and the front door is open. So you're sitting there, minute after minute, sweating into your clothes. You're like, really? Whoever the late passengers are, I hate their guts. And finally, a vehicle arrives. And this is after the pilot has come out twice, apologized, promised they're coming soon, we'll get people on board, we'll close the door, we'll cool off the cabin, serve you drinks and get you safely to your destination. We are so sorry. This is unavoidable. And we're like, okay, whatever you say, sir. And so finally, I see a vehicle pulling up. Here comes the late passengers, who I just want to strangle because now my underwear is wet. And so we're all sitting there very uncomfortable. And I feel the plane start to dip as people are walking up the stairway to get on the plane. At that time, I inhale and I smell a melange, a potpourri of offensive odors. I was able to deconstruct this wall of stench into its basic component parts. Vintage perspiration, leather, and tobacco. Like, what could this diabolical stench be? Motorhead has boarded the plane. And you see everyone on the plane like, yes, oh, it's forgiven, it's Motorhead. I don't care about the stench, I don't care about the sweat, it's Motorhead. And even the pilot's like, hell yeah. And so Lemmy is walking down the tiny aisle and he sees the empty seat next to me. Hello, Henry. Mind if I sit down next to you? No problem. He sits, we belt up, the plane takes off, the cabin cools down, and as promised, it is drink time. And the man comes up the aisle, a skinny aisle with a drink cart, and he's giving little drinks to little people smashed into small chairs inside a plane that is a toy with a wind-up propeller. And finally, the man gets up to us, and he leans over to me, he goes, sir, what can I get you? I said, how about a Diet Coke with the ice in a cup? I don't need the full can, just that's fine. He gives me my drink, and I wait before I drink it, so whatever Lemmy gets, we can clack our plastic cups together and salute our great odoriferous ride to point B. And so the guy goes, sir, what can I get you? And Lemmy says, what do you got? And the guy starts pulling out bottles of alcohol. None of them meet with Lemmy's approval. No, no, no. No, and the guy runs out of booze. Like, I'm sorry, sir, I'm out of alcohol. So he starts ordering drink man round. Glass, ice, Coke, full can, leave. And the guy moves away. He looks across the plane to Phil, the guitar player in Motorhead, and he says, the bottle! And out of a brown leather satchel comes an unmarked bottle of brown alcohol. It is given to Lemmy, who prepares this drink and gives the bottle back. We clack our plastic glasses together. We both take a swig of our drinks, and he looks at me and says, I will not be trammeled by a mere airline. I don't know how much you sexy Muscovites have time to hang around with the English language. The word trammel, to ensnare or to entrap, maybe was used by Winston Churchill, maybe was used by Shakespeare, or Abraham Lincoln, or Mark Twain, or Tom Waits. But no one uses trammel. It's a rare word. And the only reason I know it is I was a lonely boy growing up, and I used to read the dictionary like it was a book, because words are interesting to me. And all I have is English. I cling to it. I read all of your amazing authors in translation, never really knowing what I'm getting, but digging it. Anyway, he says, trammeled. And I said, excuse me, sir. You just used the verb trammeled practically in a sentence without any hesitation. Who does that? He went, oh, yes, I did. I'm like, damn. And I went from an XL fan of Lemmy to wanting to move in with him. I just thought it was like the best damn thing ever. And so I said, cheers to trammeled, whatever. Anyway, a couple of years later, I became aware of 3 young men salting away in an American prison, or 2 American prisons, in a state called Arkansas that has a lot of racists in it, a lot of homophobic people, a lot of misogynists, those who hate women, and they don't like to read, and they're afraid of science. They're afeared. You say solar panel, they say socialist, and you say either spell or define socialism. Go. I'll kill you, which I believe, because there's more guns in America than Americans. So when the guy from Arkansas says, I'll kill you, run, run, run. Anyway, there's a group of 3 young men known as the West Memphis 3. They are accused of killing 3 4-year-old boys. You never met 3 more innocent people incarcerated under false charges in your life. One is on death row, the other 2 have life sentences. There's 2 documentaries made about them. Metallica provided the soundtrack for both documentaries for free. Do you understand how difficult or impossible it is for Lars to do anything for free? Do you have any idea what the sacrifice it must have been for him to go for free? He should be given the Nobel Peace Prize, because for him it's probably like, can we have your kidney? Like, free. And the documentaries just show that there's no evidence against the West Memphis 3. And I watched these documentaries and I went, wait a minute. If they're not completely innocent, which they are, they at least deserve another day in court. What evidence is on their side? And you find out that there's DNA evidence from the crime scene that the state of Arkansas never tested. Why? Because a group of their peers, a jury, found them guilty without it. And so people go to the state of Arkansas and say, will you test the DNA evidence and give these guys a new day in court? And Arkansas says, no, it's expensive. They're guilty, and if you want to test it, you go ahead and you pay for it yourself, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I contacted the West Memphis 3 resource group, and I said, do you need help raising money for the DNA? And they said, yes, we're broke. I said, you need someone maybe to do a benefit? And they said, would you? I said, yes, we will. So my bandmates and I, we did a benefit. We took all the money and we gave it to the West Memphis 3 Resource Fund. And I said, nice gesture. And we gave them a few $1,000s. And so my bandmates and I can take all of our guilt and say, we did something. We're not standing around. That was not good enough for me. I said, we must do more. These 3 guys are innocent, they're in prison. It could have been any one of us in prison. One of them is going to die, because in Arkansas, they execute people. So I thought all night long. I couldn't sleep after this benefit show. I was so wired. The next day, without sleep, I called my bandmates. I said, I have an idea. We are going to do a benefit record. We are going to play Black Flag songs, because to me, those are not songs. They are battle hymns. And we're going to play those songs. We're going to get an all-star cast of rock and roll singers, superstars, to sing on these songs, and everyone will say yes, and we're going to sell 1 million copies, and we're going to give all the money to the West Memphis 3's attorneys for the DNA crime scene evidence to be tested. And then we're going to go out and tour around the world and take all of that money and give it to the attorneys. It's going to take 2 summers of your life. Are you ready? And they all went, hell yeah, let's go. And so they're in the studio working on the music. All of a sudden, I need a bunch of singers. Unfortunately for me, I don't know anyone. I'm a weirdo. I hang out by myself. And so I call the 3 people in the world I know who can sing. So I call Mike Patton of Faith No More. I go, Mike, it's Henry. Thank you. And he's a wonderful guy, and he's a genius. I said, West Memphis 3, he knows all about the case, of course. He was like, Damien, Jesse, and Jason, they're in prison for no good reason. Someone's got to raise the money to test that evidence. I go, you want to sing a song called Six Pack? He said, I already know the lyrics, I'm ready, send the tape. 1. I called the grandson of Hank Williams, Shelton Williams. Hank 3. He's a longtime pal of mine. I said, Hank, West Memphis 3. Oh man, those guys got a raw deal, man. I said, all right. Well, you want to sing on a benefit record? Hell yeah, man, anything you want. Click. I'm now down to my last favor. I call Ice-T. Ice-T, West Memphis 3. Oh man, that case is bullshit. I said, okay, you want to sing on a Black Flag song? I'm with it. All right. So I got 3 singers. All I need is, like 20 more. And so I have this idea. There's a Black Flag song called Revenge. It's genius. One of the best things Craig Ginn ever did. It's perfect. It's like 75 seconds, but it's all you need. There's only one person in the world who should have ever sung it. Tom Araya from Slayer, one of the greatest singers ever. And so I know Tom Araya about as well as you do. I don't know him. And so there's a woman at my office named Heidi who's brilliant. I said, really? You know about her here? Oh, wait till I tell her. You've just empowered her and made her even more dangerous. See, people in Moscow like me. You better shut up and do what I say. Thanks a lot. Great. Now I'm even more ripped than usual. That damn thing's been coming into my office for 19 years now. Here's the way it's gonna be. And you know what I always say? Okay. I'm terrified of that thing. Anyway, so I said, hey, Heidi. And she comes into work every day on her broomstick, parks it, walks in. I'm kidding. Don't tell her I said that, she'll kill me. Anyway, Heidi comes from television production. She understands 8 arms, 8 phones all going at once. There's nothing she can't do. She's an amazing person. I said, we need to start calling rock stars we don't know. How do you do that? She said, you got to go through management. You have to go through the correct channels, because if you don't, you'll get a bad reputation very quickly, and no one will help you. So I said, Tom Araya, Slayer. She goes, let me find his manager's phone number. I'll find it. She finds it. She goes, it's a guy named Rick Sales. Let's call him. So we call Rick Sales' office. Hello, this is Rick Sales Incorporated. And I said, can we speak to Rick Sales? Hold on a minute. We go through all these channels. I'm Rick Sales. He said, hi, Henry Rollins here. We're doing a benefit record for the West Memphis 3. We want Tom Araya to sing a 75-second song. Tom lives on Mars. He doesn't have a mouth, and we can't help you. Never call again. Click. And we were shut down that fast. And every single time we call someone's management, no. Like, really? It's a really good song, and it's a really good cause, and you won't help us? You won't even tell your artist that we called? No. Click. And they were aggressive about it. And so I don't know what to do. I said, Heidi, no one will give us any traction. What do we do? She goes, Plan B. I go, what's Plan B? She goes, Sean and his magic phone. I said, who's Sean? It's like, he's a guy named Sean E. Shawnee. And he has a magic phone. Your cell number is on his phone. Trust me. He just knows everyone in the world. He rarely takes his sunglasses off, and he calls most people dude, even his mother. And so he comes over to our office, and I said, Shawnee, I need help reaching these people. And he's looking at the list. No problem, dude. I said, okay, Tom Araya, Slayer. We called Rick Sales. He's a douche, dude. I'm like, right. So how does one contact Tom Araya? Tom, Shawnee, what's up, dude? West Memphis 3, benefit record, Black Flag song, Revenge, vocals, you. Yeah. Okay, I'll let him know. Later, dude. That's it. I said, what just happened? He said, Tom is on tour in Europe for the next 21 days. He wants a day to get home, take a shower, and get a meal. He will be in your studio in 22 days. Is that okay? I was like, yeah, like that's gonna happen. 22 days later, Tom Araya walks in. Oh, hi, I'm Tom. We're like, shut up, Satan boy. Do you think he's gonna come in? I'm Tom Araya. You know, like the dragon's coming out of his ears or something. We said, here's the lyric sheet for Revenge. I already know it. Okay, are you ready? Sure. And he goes in and he just sings the song so well, like I think someone lost an arm. I mean, it was amazing. And I walk into the studio, I said, do you mind singing it one more time just so we have 2 takes? Sure, no problem. and he sings it again perfectly, like he wrecked it. It's like he was born to sing it. And we're standing there shocked into silence at how good it sounds. He needed no warm-up, no rehearse, he just did it. And he walks out, was that okay? And we're like, yeah. We're like trying to stand up from that knocking us over. I said, 2 more little things, and then you can go. He said, sure, whatever you want. Okay. I said, I've printed out the lyrics for Revenge 3 times. Could you sign them? Because we're going to send them to the West Memphis 3 guys in prison so they know that you're on this record because they love you. Can you do that? Sure. Not only does he sign each lyric sheet, he writes each guy a letter. Dear Damien, it's Tom, man. We're walking the wall. We're going to bust you out of there. Slayer. And he's like one of the nicest guys ever. So I said, okay, one last tiny thing and then you can go. Can we do a few photos of you? Because we need to shamelessly promote this. He said, sure, just photos with all of us. He said, if there's nothing more, I need to go because I have to pick up my daughter from soccer. Now, think of, I have to pick up my daughter from soccer and listen to the Rain and Blood album at the same time. I have to pick up my daughter from soccer. Your head's sewn together. I have to pick up my daughter from soccer. Do you hear that mashup? And we're like, really? Soccer? Hail Satan! And he took off. And so we bump up on a song called Thirsty and Miserable. And I say to my bandmates, I go, listen to the song in your mind and think of who should sing it. And we all listened to it in our minds. I said, does anyone have an idea? And simultaneously, all of us said, Lemmy. All of us. Because he was born to sing it. I'm like, here we go. I've got to call a manager and get humiliated by some other guy in an office. So we find Lemmy's manager's number and we're like, oh, here we go. Here comes the disrespect. And so we call, a woman answers, hello, whatever, management. Hi, I'm Henry Rollins. Please don't hang up. I kind of sort of know Lemmy from bumping into him on airplanes and stuff. And maybe he can sing the song on a benefit record. I can send over the documentaries, the music, and all the kinds of information, and maybe you could show it to him, please. I'm going to be with him this afternoon. If you send it over now, I'll take it to him this afternoon, and I'll let you know what he says tomorrow. You'll do that? Sure, no problem. Really? Okay, and so we send all this stuff to her. The next day, this woman calls, and she says, he said he's happy to do it. Can you pick him up at his apartment on Saturday at 12 o'clock? I said, he's going to do it? He said, yeah. He said, yes, he will do it. I said, okay, can I have his address? She said, yeah, here. And I find out Lemmy lives 5 traffic lights from me, which in Los Angeles is 80 miles. And so I drive to his apartment, and it's a modest building, split level, and I walk up the stairs to a sidewalk. It looks like a motel. And I knock on 2D or whatever it is, and the door opens, and it's Lemmy. I'm like, it's really you. Good afternoon, Henry. And we get in the car, and we're going to the studio, and I told him the whole story about Tom Araya and how difficult it was to get him. And I said, but Lemmy, we called your people 1 time, and in 22 hours, the woman got back, and you're on the record. Why was it so easy to get you to come on board? And he looked at me, and he said, you're my friend, you said you needed me, so here I am. That is Lemmy. So we get to the studio. Yes, we get to the studio, and before I left to pick up the Lem, as we call him, I had instructed Mike, our road manager, Dark Mike, we call him when he's hitting people, quick to temper. Anyway, I said, Dark Mike, before I come back to the studio with the Lem, I need you to go to a liquor store. Don't rob it. I need you to go to a liquor store and buy a laundry bag of ice, the Led Zeppelin-sized bottle of Jack Daniels, which is 1 meter on each side. And it comes with a pack of 4 drinking straws. And the sticker says, feeds a family of 4 from Kentucky for 90 minutes. It takes a man with a dolly to get it to your car. I said, I need the Led Zeppelin bottle, the ice, and the Coke for the Lem. And he says, yes, sir. And here he goes to the liquor store. I pick up the Lem. We walk into the studio. Everyone has brought a friend. Engineers have brought roommates. Band members have brought wives and girlfriends. Everyone wants to meet the Lem. Lemmy walks into the studio like Eisenhower walking onto the deck of a ship. He knows his superiority. He just walks in and everyone stands up at attention and starts wiping their right hand so it's dry when they meet the Lem. He walks in and goes like, and everyone's like, and those people, they've never saluted anything in their life, trust me. He walks in, takes 3 steps, turns to his left, and goes right to the bottle of Jack Daniels, the bucket of ice, and the 6-pack of Coke. No one told him it was in there. I did not say, Lenny, there will be libation waiting. He did not walk in and go like, he just walked in with alcohol GPS installed. Like, go left, and he goes right to it. And we all watch in amazement as without words, he makes a drink expertly, drinks half of it and goes, I'm Lemmy, and then meets everyone in the room. He's great. I said, are you ready to do some singing? He said, yeah. He goes in and sings the song twice, and he sang it really well, like, mwah. And he comes out, how was that? We're just stunned, like, Lemmy, that was amazing. Let me listen. And we played it to him, both vocals. He loved it. And I said, one last thing. Can we do some photos of you so we can shamelessly promote this product? And he went, yeah. I don't know if any of you have ever looked at many photographs of Lemmy. There's a thing Lemmy likes to do in almost every single photograph taken of him. That's it. And that's not directed towards you. That's just what the Lem does. And so we're doing photos of everyone. And I said, Lemmy, can we do 1 or 2 without that? Because I have to sell this record in Walmart that has guns, alcohol, and Bibles. But this offends the moral Christian core of Walmart customers. And so I don't know what to do, because he just flips me off. I said, okay, well, I guess that's that. We'll just pixelate it out later. And so we do the photos. We take the big Jack Daniels bottle back to the car. It's his going away gift. I take him back to his apartment, and I ended up spending a couple of hours hanging out with Lemmy in his apartment, and every time I try and leave, he doesn't want me to go. So I'm paying for the studio. My bandmates are wondering, where did Henry go? And I'm moving towards the door. Let's look at a book. I'm like, okay. And we pulled out a book. It's some big history book. I go, no one reads books this big. I read it. I'm like, really? And I'm like, okay, you can borrow it. I'll need it back though. I said, did I just join the Lemmy Book of the Month Club? I did! And I said, okay, I'll bring it back at the end of the semester. And I'm moving towards the door. You're like, here's another book. And I realized Lemmy is lonely and he doesn't want to be on his own. And I want to hang out with him. He's a big-hearted guy. And so I said, Lemmy, I have to go. His face fell, his shoulders fell, and he looked like a boy who just got told, your trip to Disneyland has just been canceled. He's just like, oh, well, okay, see ya. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'll come back with soup later. Anyway, he was a really wonderful guy. And last year in September, I was on the East Coast in a state called Connecticut, and I was in Hartford to do a benefit show for the Mark Twain Museum, which is Mark Twain's house, and you can wander through it. They needed money, so they contacted me. They said, you like Mark Twain? I said, do I ever? They said, you want to do a benefit show? And I said, no, I'll do 2. So I ended up doing 2. And so I'm living at a hotel on a night off, about to go do these shows. And I'm have my earplugs in, listening to punk rock music, caffeinated drink, writing furiously in my notebook. I just like to go in there and complain. No one understands anything but me. And so I'm writing away, and a young man gets in my face and kind of like waves at me. And I'm like thinking, this better be good, young man. And I unplug my earplugs. I go, yes? He said, my name is Ian. I take care of Lemmy. I was like, there's Motorhead in this hotel. And he said, we are. I said, tell the Lem I am here. He goes, we've told him. He knows. I said, I have to talk to Lemmy. And he said, he wants to talk to you, but he's sleeping. Lemmy has slept an hour and a half since 1974. So whenever he sleeps, we let him sleep as long as he needs to. He's not doing very well. I said, yeah, I've heard. So he said, how about this? Give me your cell phone number, and tomorrow I'll text you when we're getting on the bus, leaving for the show, and you can talk to Lemmy. And so the next day, I get the text, hey, we're on the bus. And I run down to the bus, and I see Mickey D, Motorhead's drummer, great guy, Phil, the guitar player, real sweetheart. I said, gentlemen, where is the professor? He's in the back lounge, he's waiting for you. And I go in the back, and there's Lemmy. He's sitting there, his eyes are about this big, and his face is sunken, he looks very frail. I've never seen him look like this. And it took me a moment to adjust. I'm like, whoa, hey Lemmy. Hello Henry, how are you? Barely above a whisper. I'm like, he does not look good, he doesn't sound good, and in 4 hours he's going to be on stage with Motorhead? This is going to kill him. It kills the audience. You ever seen that band? You think 20% slower when you leave the venue. You could be the governor of Tennessee. Anyway, and so he looks awful. And so I said, Lemmy, heard the new album last night? Another good one, and it is good too. And we talked about this and that, and the other band members came back there. We talked for a while. And then the road manager said, all right, Henry, off the bus, we gotta go. So I looked at Lemmy, I looked right into his face, and I shook his hand. I said, Lemmy, you are one of my favorite people, and it's always good to see you, sir. And he said, it's always good to see you, my friend. And we shook hands. And the reason why I made it a big deal out of saying all that to him, it was not because I thought it was the last time I was ever going to see him. I wasn't thinking that. You never think something like that. It's just that I think it's important every once in a while when there's someone that you really like to go above yourself and beyond yourself and let them know. And just say something really corny and stupid like, I think you're really great and it's always good to see you. As weird as that sounds. And even if that person's like, awkward, at least they know that. Because you never know the next time you're going to see them or not. And I'm so glad I said that to Lemmy because he was gone a few weeks later. And if you ever wondered if the guy was cool, he was real cool. He's also a modern miracle. Think about it. He died at 70 years of age after inhaling 420 kilometers of speed. A line that goes from here to Miami, Florida. A man who smoked 90 tons of tobacco and hashish. A man who did at least 80,000 LSD trips and did 90,000 gallons of hard alcohol. 70 years. Oh, and was in Motorhead? It's amazing he could form a sentence at age 70. He's amazing. He is where humanity is heading. He's humanity V2. In 50,000 years, if there's anything left of planet Earth, we will look like Lemmy. And we'll be going, oh, screw it. And so, in a way, he's a lesson in that I don't want to live like Lemmy. I don't want to drink alcohol and smoke and do speed. But Lemmy was true to himself. He was a nice guy, but he did not give a damn what you thought of him. And in that, you can get a lot of strength and a lot of inspiration. Because it's very hard to be yourself. It's very hard not to give a damn what other people think of you. I care what people think of me. I'd rather you be madly in love with me than hate my guts. But Lemmy didn't care. And he wasn't a jerk at all. Quite the opposite. He was a real sweetheart. But he was his own person. And one of the ways I've learned to be my own person was from being a fan of Lemmy for 30-some years. And so that happened. Here's something else. And I know that those seats are uncomfortable. And I know that tomorrow you get up very early. So I'm going to let you go pretty soon. I've been yelling at you for a very long time. Unfortunately for you, I really like doing this more than you like listening. So it kind of sucks. I know. But anyway, so here's a couple of thingettes so I can tell you the thing that I want to tell you. I have this idea. I've been rolling around the world. I travel pretty far and wide. And I've met a lot of people in a lot of interesting places. I've met them in Iran. I've met them in North Korea. I've met them in Saudi Arabia. I met them in the deserts of Afghanistan. I've met them all over the world. And I've found we, the species, Homo sapiens, to be good. We're pretty cool if you can put us in an environment where we're not terrified and we have enough water and enough food and shelter. We can usually be reasoned with. I also respect the fact that everyone, when they're awake, is processing information and that you cannot lie or fool anybody for very long before they go, wait a minute, you're full of it, because I'm awake too, you son of a bitch. And that makes me very respectful of other people. So no matter what you do, someone is checking it out. Between tours, when I'm not on stage haranguing you, I am out of work, which I cannot stand. I don't want a vacation. I don't want time to sit on a couch I want to do things every day. I want to wake up without enough sleep, with an itinerary that forces me to do things I don't know how to do. Remember, 2.5 hours ago, I was telling you, I am nobody from nowhere, from the minimum wage working world. So when someone in a Hollywood film says, hey, can you act? I just go like, sure. You want to be in a movie? Yeah. So you think you can get along with other actors? Absolutely. And that's why you'll see me in films that are so awful. Like, Henry, why are you in a film with a rubber bug glued to your forehead going, and falling over? Because it's better than sitting on the couch. I want to have the most eventful life I can come up with. So when someone says, hey, you're a wild guy who never should have been anywhere doing anything, you want to be in a film? Like, yeah, because it fits everything else that I do. I'm not talented to do anything except minimum wage work. And so all the other stuff I do, I just go for it with no fear whatsoever. What's the worst that's going to happen? You suck, get off stage. I've been hearing that since I was 18. It hasn't stopped me. Anyway, years ago, I was off the road and hating life because I had like 80 minutes of nothing to do. I hated it. My phone rang. It's a guy named Troy. He works over at Warner Brothers. He's a very good guy. And he said, hey, I'm about to put together a cast for a film. I might have a part for you. You want to come over and talk to me? I said, please give me a job. So I drive to his office. I said, what do you got? He said, okay, don't laugh. It's not a great idea, but it's a film that's going to get made, and damn it, I'm going to make it. The film is called Jack Frost. Here's what happens. There's a mother, father, and a child. You saw it, you poor bastard. Anyway, mother, father, child. The father's played by Michael Keaton. The mother's played by Kelly Preston, who's married to John Travolta. The kid, he's just some handsome young man. And Michael Keaton's character is not a great dad. And then he dies. I'm like, that's sad. He goes, yeah, he dies without really relating to his kid. Like, so we're in a sad movie. He goes, oh, no. Here's where it gets really interesting. The dad is reincarnated as, get this, a snowman that we had built by the Jim Henson Muppet people. It has an animatronic head, and it cost half of the budget. So I said, okay, so I'm getting in a snowman outfit? He said, no. The kid is on a hockey team. The hockey team has a psychotic hockey coach who goes purple in the face, eyeballs bulging out of his head as he screams mixed messages of athletic fairness and violence. So I said, basically, kill, play fair. He goes, exactly, we can use that. I said, so when do I audition? He said, you just did, that was fine. He said, I've seen you on stage, you're a maniac, you're perfect for this. I went, I am actually. Yelling at people, I can do that all day. And so he goes, okay, sign on this line. $1.35 is your income. And meet us on the Warner Brothers lot in 2 weeks for costume, which is a sweatshirt and a whistle. And so within a few weeks, I'm at an ice rink with all these cameras and all these actors, and I meet the hockey team, which are 10-year-old Hollywood actor boys. And I said, hello guys, I'm Henry. I am your wacky hockey coach. I will be yelling at you. Feel free to laugh all day. I don't want you being nervous around me. Make fun of my Reagan-era tattoos all day long. My name is Henry. I am not to be taken seriously, especially when I'm yelling. And they put down their lattes and said, Henry, we are professional actors. We do Macbeth, summer theater, we do TV, film, we've all appeared on Oprah. We understand the arc of your character, the thrust of his intensity comes from his confusion about violence and athletic altruism. So if you're ready to be in the moment with us, we shall be ready as an ensemble cast to be in the moment with you. Well, okay, thank you. And so I'm in the movie, and I am a horse's ass, yelling, looking like a fool, and like, yeah, it's a job and I'll take it. I'm not too cool, and it was fun, and the kids were great. And so I finished the film, and I don't even think about it. The next day, I have forgotten that I've done it. I just want something else to do. I don't want to see a movie I'm in. I just want to make it. I want to make you dinner. I don't want to sit down and eat it with you. I want to go make another meal for someone else. I just like making stuff and leaving it and making something else and then making something else. I don't want to sail in the ship that I built. I just want to build it and go, is it not leaking? Good. Can I build another? Yay! I just want a chance to work and pass out. That's all I want. And so I don't think about Jack Frost ever again. Until about 2 years later, I start getting emails. Dear Henry, I have just come back from the record store where I took every record of yours that I ever had, and I just sold it because I was on an airplane from Las Vegas to Miami, sitting in economy, watching the worst film ever. And to make it even worse, a guy I have admired since 1841 makes an appearance yelling at kids, Henry, really? Black Flag, Rollins Band, Jack Frost? Henry. Next time you open a dictionary, go to the word integrity, and you'll see a photograph of your friend Ian Mackay next to the definition. You suck. I hate your guts. And within a week, Dear Henry, I have heard that you're in a Warner Brothers film called Jack Frost. I hate your guts for the rest of your life, you sellout bastard, you. And I try to logically explain to these people that I'm just some guy from nowhere, and I'll do a movie, I'll do this, I'll do that, until I get to be back on the road doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Don't sweat it, I'm just a guy who likes to do stuff. They will not have it. Don't write me again. I never want to hear about you and your Jack Frost friends. Why don't you go hang out with John Travolta now that you're friends with his wife? A woman I spoke to for like 6 seconds as she kicked me out of a makeup chair. Could you please move? Yes, Miss Preston. That's the only interaction that she and I had. Long may she wave. Anyway, that happened. In 2009, I'm at my office working. The phone rings, and it's my manager at the time who's out of breath. Henry, have you ever heard of a man named Kurt Sutter? I go, yeah. He wrote episodes of The Shield. He directed episodes of The Shield. He acted in episodes of The Shield, and now he's created a show called Sons of Anarchy. The season 1 has ended. He wants to talk to you. I said, about what? He goes, I don't know. Just go to his office before he changes his mind. Here's his address. Go now. And he works, a half an hour from me. I pull into the parking lot of some production building, and I walk in, and there's a girl with all these piercings in her ears, tattoos. She looks really cool. She said, all right, Henry Rollins, man. Kurt's right down the hall. I'm like, well, all right. And I walk in, and there's Kurt Sutter. Looks like a big rock Viking guy. He's like, I'm Kurt Sutter, man. How the hell are you? I'm like, better now. And I said, so, sir, why am I here? And he said, you know my show, Sons of Anarchy. I said, I love it. Yeah, I watched the season. He said, okay, I'm about to start creating the second season, and I have an idea for a pretty radical character. He is a white separatist, sociopath, killer of brown-skinned people. He is a white-powered neo-Nazi. And I said, and you thought of that guy? And you thought of me? And he went, yeah. I went, gee, thanks. Really bucks a guy up on a Tuesday. I feel all kinds of great about myself. And he said, well, let's talk about this guy. And we talked, we kind of invented this awful person who just walks up and kills people and then goes and plays with his kids. Like, monster! And he goes, so what do you think? I said, I think we've just talked about a guy that we made into like the worst thing that'll ever hit TV. I feel sorry for that actor. He said, no, I want you to be this guy. I said, did you just offer me a part in your big kick-ass show? He goes, I did. I said, you have to understand that I'm used to waiting in long lines and auditioning and getting laughed at by real actors with marvelous hair and gym bodies as I walk out of the building. He said, I'm sure you've done a lot of that. Thanks again, buddy. And he said, no, I want you to be in this show. Do you want the part? I was like, a part in what? I'm kidding. I said, yes. He said, good. Get out of my office before I cave into corporate pressure and change my mind. Everyone at FX, when I brought up your name, they argued vociferously to not put you in the show. They think you suck. But I think you're good. Get out. I said, okay, see you on the set. He said, yes. And so I get back to my camel dung champagne gold Subaru, and I drive back to my office. The phone is ringing. It's my manager who gets 15% of everything I do. He goes, well, did you get the part? What happened? And I said, ooh, white power. And so months later, Charlie Hunnam is beating me up every day. Did I hurt you? I go, no, I'm fine. I don't need all those teeth. Anyway, I was in this amazing show for 6 months. And if you've ever wondered about that show, is anyone in the cast a jerk? No, actually. They're all really funny, really talented, and we had an amazing time. The coffee was good, the food was good, we worked our asses off, and no one could have possibly been nicer. It was a dream job. And so I did that. So I told you those 2 storyettes so I can tell you this story that pertains to the intro thing before the 2 storyettes. Okay? So, on the weekends, when I'm not on the road, I live alone, I like to work. So the weekends for me is caffeinated drinks, writing and listening to music, and working on my radio show. The phone doesn't ring, I don't have a kennel of trick-ass bitches, I don't know what a trick-ass bitch is, I just think it sounds so funny and offensive, I like to say it. I don't think I've ever met one. Are you a trick-ass bitch? Can I meet you later? Anyway, I just work, and so on the weekends I go to a Starbucks, which I know is corporate coffee. However, they are everywhere. There's usually an empty seat, and the coffee is passable, but I like the lighting the most. It puts me in a mood conducive to creativity. So on the weekends, I will sit there for 4 hours at a time, writing page after page of angry, vitriolic writing. I'm the only one who understands. And then the lady goes, it's 11 o'clock, get out of my coffee place. Okay, and I go home. And that is a big kick-ass Friday night for me. And so I usually go to a Starbucks in a place called Toluca Lake, which is next to Warner Brothers and Disney, next to Burbank. Next to the Toluca Lake Starbucks is a thing called Bob's Big Boy. It is a big hamburger restaurant. And on the weekends, in the warmer months of the year, hundreds of motorcycles and vintage cars go there. Everyone pulls their hood up and everyone admires everyone else's beautiful, gleaming motorcycle or automobile. Men who like cars and motorcycles in Southern California all seem to be big and terrifying. They're called gearheads. These are men like some of you. It's like a door with a head. They don't go into gyms. They walk by gymnasiums and go, and become stronger to smelling people working out. They have huge arms, dangerous tattoos, amazing scarification, like a knife fight in a prison yard with a can opener with tape around it. In 1975, the scar going across the guy's face. It's a scar you wish you had, but you wouldn't want to have to live like that to get it. Half an ear, but whatever still is there is pierced multiple times. Tattoos all the way down the neck to the cuticles, wallet chains, biker boots, greasy jeans, men that clank around, and they look at you and you're like, I'm so scared. And the women who love them are equally as tattooed and terrifying. Daggers strapped to their legs, tattooed breasts that bulge out of small tank tops that are probably their daughters. And it's like tan, freckled breasts exploding forth from tank tops. Vengeance tattooed across the breasts with signatures. They've gone to rock stars. Sign me. This person has signed the breast. They took it to the tattoo place to get it autographed in ink forever. And a woman like this walks by and you see Kid Rock 2007. Like, ew, lady, really? But don't say anything because she'll stab you. And so these huge, terrifying men and women use the Starbucks toilets and buy the coffee. So on the weekends, the Starbucks looks like a Hell's Angels rally. Just these big, terrifying, dangerous people who love cars and motorcycles. They're friendly enough. There's no fights, but they're scary. So one night, I'm in there on a Friday writing away, and I look up, and I see one of the large gearhead men walking in my general direction. And he's kind of looking at me. I'm like, don't talk to me. Please leave me alone, because I don't want to get my head smashed by a big fist that looks like a loaf of bread with rings across the knuckles. Like, I don't want 5 skull rings going into the top of my head. I don't want to have my last thought going, that's my brains coming out of my nose, and die. The man comes up to my table and stares down at me. I stare up at him like a rabbit about to be pounced upon by an eagle. I'm like, well, this is how I die. The man says nothing. I say nothing. He's staring at me, and his face starts to fold and twitch, like he's chewing a bee, or he's suppressing the biggest sneeze known to man. It's like, I'm like, what the hell is he doing? A tear falls from his face and explodes on the table. I pull my notebook back, because I don't want his DNA on my notebook, in case we go to court. How did his DNA get in your notebook? He cried on me. Sir, men like this do not cry. They don't have tear ducts, they just have leather and hate. Anyway, I'm waiting for him to do something besides cry. I'm speechless. I'm like, okay. He starts speaking. My wife died! Everyone at Starbucks looks over at the huge man weeping over the skinny guy with gray hair. And I said, I'm sorry, and I meant it. Because, it's sad, he's crying on me, and his wife died. I said, I'm sorry. He doesn't even hear me. Married, 34 years, no kids. I said, oh, you don't even have a son or a daughter to commiserate with. That's very, very sad, sir. Every year, we watch the same movie at Christmas time. I just want to thank you for making Jack Frost. And I realized I had just gotten my first good review. And I want to say, hey man, this is great news. But his wife is dead. And I feel bad for him, because obviously he misses his good wife. And some of you have lost someone. It sucks. And so I feel bad for the guy. I said, oh, I'm sorry about your loss, but I'm very happy that the film brought you some happiness. Even though she's gone, I still watch it. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And like tears are coming out of this guy. Everyone at Starbucks is looking at this huge man who's weeping loudly on me. His equally terrifying friend notices he's over at my table crying. The man looks at me like, you're teasing my friend? And he starts walking towards me, and you know how you men are, you alphas, when you're gonna go straighten some other guy out, your testicles start to grow and descend, and they lead you forward like, doom, doom, doom. This guy comes over like, I'm being pulled towards you by your animal magnetism and my nuts. And he walks over to us like, hey man, are you okay? He's giving me the hard eye. Like, he's a Jack Frost. Oh man, that film, it's every Christmas I go to his house. I'm like, I heard all about it. And now there's two big biker men leaning over talking to me, and everyone at the Starbucks is like, what the hell is going on over there? And then the weeping man recovers slightly, like, I'm very sorry, Mr. Rollins. You're a very good man. I don't want to disturb you. I just wanted to say thank you. I said, sir, I thank you for your kind words, and I am very, very sorry about what you have endured. And he sticks out his hand, which is like a loaf of bread with 5 bricks coming off it. He can pick up a horse with his grip strength. I'm like, oh, this is gonna hurt, and damn, did it ever. I submit! Damn it, I'll never play the piano. Not even again, I can't play the piano, but now I'm never gonna happen. And so they go away, and I go back to my journal. Dear diary, you're not gonna believe what just happened to me. And I now have what I'm going to write about. And so, a few minutes later, 2 middle-aged women walk towards me to the table next to me. The first one sits down next to me at the table to my left. The one who's going to be sitting across from her, diagonal to me, she puts her drink down, she starts sitting down, and she stops. She squints and lowers herself to my level. That's how I know I've been recognized. It happens at airports. I'll be waiting for a flight, and someone will walk by and go like, because I'm shorter in person than people think. So they always pan down, and they always get in front like, let's get him. Anyway, this woman stops, she's like, oh my God! Everyone puts their coffee down and looks up. Who just yelled, oh my God? It's a woman shrieking at the guy who just had the big guy crying on him. What the hell does this guy got? And the woman looks at me and says, I love you! Now, I don't know anything about love. I really don't. It's confusing. It's perhaps the most complex emotion of the human spectrum, in that everyone has their own definition. I've said I love you a couple of times. It always felt fake coming out of my mouth. I never believed it even when I was 5 and I said it to my mom. Like, I love you, Mom. Nope, I don't know if I do or not. So I don't know if I've ever loved anybody. I have no idea. I'm just confused about it and fairly dysfunctional, can you tell? But I do understand that there's different kinds of love. And when I hear, I love you! That's the kind of love that I think people have for puppies and pizza. And that it is sincere, slightly hyperbolic, but no one will be injured in this expression of love. Like you take someone to the park and there's a young dog. I love that puppy, okay? The person just loves a dog. The dog will be fine. That person will be fine. Everything's gonna be okay. You want pizza? I want pizza, okay? The person just likes pizza. It's okay to hang around with this person. They just feel passionately about pizza. And how anyone can love dough, cheese, and tomato sauce that's been baked in an oven. I love you, piece of dough, tomato, cheese thing. How do you show it that you love it? You eat it. I don't get it. But people say, I love pizza. Okay, fine. This woman loves me in that way. She doesn't love me. She loves me like I'm a slice of pizza or a puppy. It's fine. And her friend says, who is he? And the woman goes, you don't know. Oh my God. He is the greatest neo-Nazi! Now, in most places, when you yell out neo-Nazi at great volume, a lot of people will stop what they're doing. Like at the Toluca Lake Starbucks, people will put their overpriced drink down and go to where the voice emanated from to try and get context. How was that said? Is there a neo-Nazi in here, albeit a great one? Are we in danger? Shall we flee the white power? If you say neo-Nazi in Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, South Carolina, Kentucky, North or South Dakota, or Alaska, Ms. Palin, who can see Russia from Alaska, people will say, what time's the meeting? Am I late? I'm kidding. But in this evening in Toluca Lake, everyone looks over at the neo-Nazi. White power is over in the corner with a middle-aged woman who's shrieking what a great neo-Nazi I am. And I took it as a compliment because I realized how angry I would have been had she said, he's a pretty good neo-Nazi, pretty good. I gave everything I had to that party. And so I'm a great neo-Nazi, so saith this woman. And now everyone's looking at me like, well, let's see you're a great neo-Nazi, huh? Well, get up and do something, sir. And the woman says, can we do a photo? And I said, yes, ma'am. She's a nice lady. And so I get up from my table and I walk around it and I go up to her and I good-naturedly put my arm on her shoulder, not around her shoulder. I'm not a guy who walks up to women and starts grabbing them. I just kind of went thunk, like here's a human arm, like a cadaver's arm on your shoulder. In the photo, it would look like, wow, he's very awkward with other people, looking like, and that's how the photo's gonna look. So I'm just standing there with my arm on this woman, and she gives her phone to her friend. Her friend doesn't know how to operate the phone, so she's fiddling with the phone. Meanwhile, this woman puts her arm around me, grabs my side, and starts groping me for body fat index. And I don't get much action. Let me amend that. I don't get any action. And so being groped by a middle-aged woman at a Starbucks in Southern California, I'll take it. It's not that bad. And so I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, ugh. And I was like, oh boy. Oh, this is great. I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life. Meanwhile, this woman's like, I think I'm making a video. Hold on. Okay, now I'm dialing a number. Hold on. It says mom. Is this your mom? Hold on. Hi. Yeah, it's Patty. I have Sally's phone. We're in the Toluca Lake Starbucks. She's with a neo-Nazi. He's a little short, and it's not age appropriate. I mean, like he's like at least 30, 40 years older, but I think she really likes him. He could be the one. Okay, I'll have her call you later. And we finally get the photo done, and the woman releases me, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And I sat back down, and now everyone's staring at the man who can make big men cry, who apparently is a great neo-Nazi. And I said, it is probably time for me to get out of here. So I pack up my gear, take my rapidly congealing, overpriced coffee drink, and haul ass back to my home and listening to rock and roll on my speakers with my cold drink. This shows you that everyone's awake. Everyone's checking out something. It's not about the fact that one person liked Jack Frost. It's the idea that everyone's awake and processing, which means even people you have great disagreements with, you need to give them a minute to air themselves out, because even though you disagree with them, like I don't like my father, I haven't seen him for 30-some years, he's an amazing racist, a champion misogynist, and a record-breaking homophobe, and a PhD. Crazy, right? But he doesn't like women or gay people or brown people, or probably me, because I'm so good looking and humble. But he's honest when he says there's no such thing as global climate change and brown people are bad. For him, that's true. And so if I said, you're wrong, you're like, I'm right as right can be. And to the right of my father's Joseph Stalin and a Fox News correspondent, hey now. Anyway, but he's telling his own truth. And because of that, you have to not exactly respect it, but you do have to give everyone a minute, which is a pain in the ass, because humans can be very hard to deal with when they're drone striking, when they're lying, when they're raping, when they're beating the living daylights out of someone for no reason. That's when you want to take all of humanity, besides yourself and your cool friends, and cast them away to Ohio, or somewhere pretty hellish. But the truth is, no matter where you go, you meet really nice people. You remember, I had a president many years ago. You all watched him with a certain degree of amusement. He couldn't speak English very well. He'd speak and you're like, really? Did you get hit upside the head with a pan? George W. Bush could not finish a sentence without you going like, what the hell was that? Don't go to Orania, full of Iranians, evildoers, terrifiers, terrorizers. You're like, one please. I went to every country he told me not to go to. Don't go to Pakistania. It's full of Pakistanians. They're scary. They don't have our values. Like what they read. And so I said, one please. And I went to Islamabad right in time for Benazir Bhutto to be assassinated. I was there for that. And the next day I wake up and Islamabad is columns of smoke. The hotel is diplomats, they're crying children, and the scariest security guys I've ever seen. Men in Armani suits with an Uzi bulge because the city's on fire and all the embassies have emptied into my hotel. Of course, I go out on a sunny day, right to the gate, 50 soldiers with rifles guarding the hotel. I go out amongst them, and they're like, sir, please go back to your room and play video games. I said, me play a video game? You're funny, never gonna happen. I said, no, I'm going out for a walk. Sir, it's very dangerous out there. I said, pal, I'm from America. I've been to Detroit. I live in Los Angeles. He went, oh, what were you thinking? Have a nice day, sir, don't hurt me. You didn't bring your gun with you. I didn't bring my 5 guns, man. And I spent the whole day in Islamabad watching it burn. And no one was mean to me. People came up and asked if I was lost, if I wanted help getting back to an embassy or a hotel. I said, no, man, I'm just a traveler. And I've used this international icebreaker everywhere I go. I suggest you use it the next time you travel. If anyone ever asks you, my friend, what are you doing here? I always say, what am I doing here? I'm here to meet you. My name's Henry, man. What's happening? It always breaks the ice. Years ago, my president said, don't go to Iran. Scary. Like, really? Find it on a map. There it is. That's Kentucky. Try again, numbnuts. And so I went to Iran, and I would shake off my government spy tour guide by noon. I said, I'm jet lagging. I'm going to go back to my room and cry and pray and take a nap. And he's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'd walk around on the freezing streets of Tehran just wanting to meet Iranian people. And so I would go into convenience stores, like a 7-Eleven or a quick market, where you buy everything overpriced, and they're open late. There's nothing but men in there just standing around. No women, just men, just kind of doing nothing. And I would walk in and stand there until one would come over, my friend, where are you from? America. And they're like, whoa, in Iran? Who are you here with? I'm here alone. And they're like, double damn. Wow. And my friend, what are you doing here? I'm here to meet you, man. What's happening? And they're all like, that's very funny. No, really, why are you here? No, really, I'm here to meet you. I think with more people travel and they hang out with other people and they visit with other people and exchange records and information and favorite books, the world becomes a better place. The world is plagued by ignorant people, like my dad, who hates people he doesn't understand because he never goes to any countries. I've been to 90 countries because I like to travel. I like to meet people in other cultures and go like, are you going to eat that? Can I try it? And that's how I ate rats in India. The meat tastes pretty good. The livers are weird, but I ate 2 of them. A guy handed me this dead rat, broken open. He goes like, here, my friend. I'm like, I'm going to eat this? And everyone else says, we are. So I start eating rats with these Arula tribesmen. And I never eaten rat before. I haven't had any since, but at least I know how to cook one now. So if I get hungry and the supermarket's closed, I know what I'm having for dinner. And this has been my experience with the world. I go out into the world, I meet people, and everyone's really cool, especially in countries. Don't go there. They're illiterate, scratching in the dirt. Really? They invented math. You should shut your mouth. And so this has been my experience out in the world. A few months ago, I had some time off in November. I called my travel agent, Rita, who's retired, but she comes out of retirement for me because she knows I'm a maniac. I said, November, Antarctica. She went, oh, you gotta go to Antarctica in November, it's when the penguins are breeding. So I'm supposed to go there and see a bunch of penguins having sex? Yes, you're gonna love it. Okay, she's as weird as I am. So I said, 1 please. And weeks later, I find myself on a ship going through the Drake Passage on my way to the edge of the Antarctic Peninsula. And every day I'm meeting penguins. And I'm meeting Gen 2 penguins and chinstrap penguins. And it's mating season. So the penguins are eating, building nests, and screwing. And they just stand there either humping another penguin or going, ah, ah, as red guano falls out of them every few seconds. And you go onto these islands of ice that you inhale, the smell is crippling, and and the penguins walk up to you because they think you're strange. They think you're one of them, but overly dressed, because there's no predators for penguins on land, so they're not afraid of you, and they walk up and they will check you out. These 2 little eyes check you out, and they're covered in their own droppings. You're like, you are disgusting, but so cute. And then they peck your boots to see if your boots are food, but they're rubber. And they're like, meh, and they leave. And then the next one comes up. And you realize, I'm going to disappoint you. My boots are not food. And so every day I'd watch penguins mating, building nests, or sometimes the one poet penguin would go out into the middle of nowhere and just go, ah! Like petitioning his God that has done him wrong. And like, what's he doing? He's having an existential crisis. Anyway, I'd signed up for the camping trip. 1 night on the glacier. And so I'm in a sleeping bag on Nico Harbor. To my left are like 800 mating, cawing penguins. The air is full of penguin guano. Penguins are walking by me, screwing, covered in their own excrement. It's like a weekend in Amsterdam. You should go. You have to pay extra for that stuff, but anyway, I'm in my sleeping bag, sitting like, oh! And to my left, and ahead of me is a beautiful blue glacier. I'm like, this is the best night of my life. And I went, do you know that we're going to die? I go, what do you mean? It's going to be great. We're going to hang out with Ozzy Osbourne, man. So I never met the guy. And one of the members of the band said very accurately, no one in an Ozzy audience wants to see anyone on stage but Ozzy. The opening bands get destroyed. What do you think they're going to do with 4 weirdos who don't play perfect heavy metal? They're going to kill us. Can we not do this show? And that's one of the times I have pulled the I am the boss of this band card. Like, we're going to play with the Ozzy Osbourne guys, and you're going to get used to it. I slapped all their little faces. I said, get ready. And so weeks later, we fly to Florida, and we go into this massive arena that holds like 20,000 people. We're like, damn, this is intense. We get on a golf cart, and we go down, down below the Earth's surface to a subterranean shower room used for hockey teams and basketball teams, fluorescent lights, benches, lockers, and a shower room like 30 spigots. We go, well, here's the big time, and on a table there is a coffee mug, no coffee, an orange, and a banana. That's all we have. And we're like, wow, well, okay, thanks, Ozzy. And at that time, the door explodes open, and it's Ozzy. And he comes in, hey man, my name is Ozzy Osbourne, man. Which one of you guys is Henry? I said, here it comes. I'm gonna meet Ozzy Osbourne. I'm like, hello, sir. I'm Henry. Hey man, how you doing? I'm so glad you're on the tour, man. Hey, if you want to play the PA until it blows up, play it as loud as you want. Turn it up to 10. Do whatever you want. Have a great time. Wah! And he runs out. We're like, all right. I mean, it was like a 17-second blur of total insanity. And we all went, okay, well, at least we can play the PA loud as we get killed. And so we go up for like a 4-second sound check. Thank you very much, get off stage. And so you will be going on stage at 7:30. And we are the middle band. Typo Negative opens, then us, then Ozzy. And the Typo guys are so great. Anyway, I briefed my band. I go, okay, there's going to be 20,000 Floridian, mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging, gun-loving, literature and science-hating Ozzy Osbourne fans in the venue tonight. If you see a red laser dot on your chest, that is a sniper. Don't lose a beat, because I will fine you for bad notes. But run in a zigzag, evasive pattern, and maybe you shall survive. If they take the stage with hatchets, feel free to run. This probably isn't going to go very well, so please lower your expectations. And the whole band's like, gee, thanks, we're going to be killed. And so we go out on stage, and I go, good evening, we're the Rollins band. I hear this roar, I'm like, damn, well, all right. I said, well, here's our first song. Hit it. We do the first song, come to an end. Nothing's being thrown at us. No rednecks are jumping on stage, oh, kill you. Nothing. But we feel like Queen at Wembley. And now we're sort of like, and I don't do any of that. I go for some Mick Jagger, like, check me out. And I start like, and this is our bass player. Yeah! Hello, Florida. You all are all right. Do you like rock and roll? Yeah! We come to the end of this 45-minute set, and all we hear is like, our heads are so big, thinking the next time we play in Florida, we're playing here, we are going to the top. This is the big time. Thanks, Ozzy, because next time you're opening for us, bitch. And so we get on the golf cart back down to the bowels of hell to the locker room going, we are rock stars. Damn, where's the strippers and the blow? We have never done either, but it's coming our way because... So I shower and I run back up to topside because I want to see the band play. I got the guy's records, I'm a fan. And so Ozzy is standing on this side of the stage right, just standing there on his own like this. And I walk up and I said, hey Ozzy, thanks for letting us open. Hello, hey man, I watched your set, you guys are really good, man. He's like a really nice guy. I said, oh man, thanks. His band is on stage, they're already out there. And Ozzy's just kind of standing there like this. And Sharon walks over and goes like, Ozzy! And he's like, yeah, get out there! And just kind of shoves him. And he goes like, ah, let's go crazy! And the sound I heard was like a 747 taking off in your mind. It wasn't, it was like, Wah! And that's when I realized that is the sound of 20,000 people all going like, how long are they going to play for? You wanted me this? It sucks, but it's better than this. I think there's 2 more songs. The Rollins band, something. He's short and stupid. I can't stand it. That's... And I was duly humbled. And I am humbled by your great appreciation. Thank you so much. Good night.